English Precis and Composition paper. Actually, English Precis and Composition paper is more concerned with your expression rather than the arguments. It's a test of your literary skills and command our English language and grammar. Do hand-pick standard books on grammar and cast your eyes over them. Read between the lines and avoid cramming. Here every portion is dealt with separately. First portion is the Precis writing. Precis writing is one of the most useful skills you can acquire for your work both as a student and as a professional. Precis writing involves summarizing a document to extract the maximum amount of information, then conveying this information to a reader in minimum words. A Precis is a clear, compact, logical summary of a passage. It preserves only the essential or important ideas of the original. Here I have for you a wonderful piece of advice regarding Precis writing. I am sure Precis writing is a hard nut to crack for all the aspirants out there. But not anymore. I hope I do justice with the transferring of the knowledge. Well, I try my level best. However, none of you is bound to follow this technique. If you find it useful, great. If not, even better. I hope we all learn a lot. A good Precis shows the writing skills of a candidate. It must have the following qualities. Clarity means getting your message across so that the receiver can understand what the writer is trying to convey. It is the basic and essential need of a Precis. The idea should be clear and understandable. There should not be any ambiguity in your writing. The writer can achieve clarity by using simple language and simple structure. If your Precis is not understandable to the reader, it will lose its importance and meanings for the reader. The other quality is the correctness. Mistakes in your writings always irritate the reader. Of course, mistakes are never intentional. Even so, there is no excuse for them. At the time of writing or composing a Precis, the writer must ensure that the facts and figures are correct. Structures of sentence and spellings of words must be correct, because a single mistake in structure and spelling may spoil the message. We may consider the mistakes under the following headings: misspelled words, mistakes in figures and dates, mistakes in punctuations, mistakes of grammar and structures. The third quality or prerequisite of a Precis writing is objectivity. Objectivity means the ability to present or view facts uncolored by feelings, opinion, and personal bias. While making a Precis, the writer should adopt an objective approach. He should not give and add his personal opinion and ideas in a Precis. A Precis should be purely a summary of the original text without any addition. The fourth one quality is the coherence. Coherence means the logical and clear interconnection of ideas in a written piece of work. A good Precis should be coherent. The ideas which are presented in a Precis must have a logical connection and they all should be interrelated. In short, we may say that the idea should be well knitted so that the writer may not be confused and lose his interest. Another striking feature of a good Precis is completeness. A Precis should be complete in all respects. Completeness means that the writer should include all the important facts in a Precis. To make it short, he should not omit the important ideas. The mistake on the part of the writer will spoil the importance and meanings of the Precis. Conciseness is a desirable quality of a good Precis. Conciseness means to say all the needs to be said and no more. The writer should write what is necessary and avoid writing unnecessary details. A concise piece of work conveys the message in the fewest possible words. But one point must be kept in mind, that the writer should not omit some basic and essential facts to achieve conciseness. To achieve conciseness, notice some suggestions that are: omitting unnecessary details, eliminate wordy expressions, include only relevant material, and avoid unnecessary repetition. There are some general tips for Precis writing. Precis writing is the first question of the subjective part. Follow the sequence of the English composition and Precis paper so that the examiner knows that you do not lack self-confidence. Spend almost 1 hour on this section or Precis paper. Always be confident while sitting in the exam. The problem in Precis writing are sometimes difficult vocabulary. Do not panic. There are two types of meanings of difficult words: lexical meanings and contextual meanings. Lexical meaning means the exact meanings out of the dictionary. Contextual meanings means the meaning of the word according to the context in which it is used. Contextual meanings can be understood from the former sentence in which it is used or the later. And always remember that word is not important. The position of the word is more important. Start practicing Precis from passage of psychology and philosophy books. So go and get a pair of books on philosophy and psychology. Read them with dictionary on and build your vocabulary, and then later start past papers. A well-written Precis should be a serviceable substitute for the original work. The goal of a Precis is to preserve the core essence of the work in a manner that is both clear and concise. Here, I am going to guide you step by step for Precis writing. Precis writing is a very fine exercise in reading. Most aspirants read carelessly and retain only a vague idea of what they have read. Nothing provides a stronger corrective to such a habit than the practice of putting down briefly the substance of what has been just read. Precis writing forces you to pay attention to what you have read. No one can write a summary of any passage unless he has read it attentively and grasped its meanings. Thus, summarizing is an excellent training in concentration. It teaches one to read with the mind as well as with the eyes. Read the passage for the first time slowly in order to grasp the overall idea. Only 15 to 20% meaning will be comprehended at this time. In the second reading, highlight certain points. Points are divided into two categories: R's or R nots. Facts and figures, you cannot change them. Explanations and details must be omitted. You are given 20% permission to use words as they are. These are the facts and figures. highlight them. In a normal passage of 300 to 400 words, you will be able to find 8 or 10 or 12 points. On a fresh page, write down a heading, points for the Precis, and enlist all the points in your own words in a chronological order. On the next page, make a heading of rough draft. With the help of connectors or transitional phrases, write down all that points you wrote on the previous page in a single whole paragraph. Count the words of the original passage and the ones in your rough draft. Relaxation of 10 words is given by examiner so that you do not miss out the important point. Do not try to be over-efficient and avail this opportunity. Start editing your draft and apply one-word substitution or other techniques where applicable. On a fresh page, make a heading, neat draft. Write down the material left after editing your rough draft. You need to write down your neat draft within 105 to 110 words if the original passage is 300 words. Follow the 1/3 rule. Using a black marker, write down words in the original passage, for example, 300 words on a separate line, and on the next write down the required number of words, that is 1/3 or 100 words on the next words in the Precis, 108 words in the Precis on the next under the headings of words in the Precis, 108 words. This is just a sample, or at the last of the Precis you have to given a suitable title of the Precis. Title giving can be done by either giving points of the Precis. Title giving can be done by either giving points of the Precis a reader and come up with a title, or figure it out through the topic sentence, which is either written in the first sentence or the concluding one. The former method is more reliable. The title of the Precis must be given, even if it is not asked. The hint for the title can be found in the central idea of the passage. In fact, the title is the central idea of the central idea, or the Precis of the Precis. It should also be remembered that every word of the title, except articles, prepositions, and conjunctions, should begin with capital letter. It can be in a phrase, just like unemployment is one of the reasons behind crime, topic of an essay. Most effective title of this phrase may be just like unemployment, a cause behind crime. Go back to the portion where you wrote points of the Precis and rough draft and put a cross using a black marker. The whole point of this exercise is to make the examiner see that you have followed a proper structure while attempting Precis. He or she will be impressed. Read the following passage and answer the question given at the end. A life of action and danger moderates the dread of death. It not only gives us fortitude to bear pain, but teaches us at every step the precarious tenure on which we hold our present beings. Sedentary and studious men are the most apprehensive on this score. Dr. Johnson was an instance in point. A few years seemed to him soon over, compared with those sweeping contemplations on time and infinity with which he had been used to pose himself. In the still life of a man of letters, there was no obvious reason for a change. He might sit in an armchair and pour out cups of tea to all eternity, would it had been possible for him to do so. The most rational cure, after all, for the inordinate fear of death is to set a just value on life. If we mere wish to continue on the scene to indulge our headstrong humor and tormenting passion, we had better be gone at once. And if we only cherish a fondness for existence according to the good we desire from it, the pang we feel at parting which it will not be very severe. Questions we have: suggest a suitable title for the passage. And the question number 2 is to make a precis of the passage. One of the most suitable title, according to me, the fear of death. The precis of the given passage is like as: if we lead an active life facing dangers, we will less fear death. People who lead a lazy and peaceful life are the most afraid of death. The most sensible way of getting rid of the fear of death is to value life properly. If we do not give unnecessary importance to our life, we will not feel the pang of death. The next question is about the comprehension. Use sandwich strategy. Do not read the passage first. Read the question first, so that a detector is set in your mind. When you read the question first, you will detect the answer right away. Underline those sentences. Read the questions again. Answer now in your own words, only taking the concepts and facts and figures from the paragraph. Answer in a very comprehensive manner in 4 to 5 sentences. If the examiner asks you to write the meaning of the underlined word, lexical meaning is not required, contextual meaning is required. Read the given passage, then give brief answers to the questions placed at the end in your own words. This is the question from the past papers of CSS 2002 exam. And the passage is: there is indeed something inexpressibly pleasing in the annual renovation of the world and the new display of the treasures of nature. The darkness and cold of winter, with the naked deformity of every object on which we turn our eyes, make us rejoice at the succeeding season, as well for what we have escaped as for what we may enjoy. Every budding flower with which a warm situation brings early to our views. It considered by us a message to notify the approach of more joyous days. The spring affords to a mind free from the disturbance of cares or passions almost everything that our present state makes us capable of enjoying. The variegated verdure of the fields and woods, succession of grateful odors, the voice of pleasure pouring out its notes on every side, with the gladness apparently conceived by every animal from the growth of his food and clemency of the weather, throw over the whole earth and an air of gaiety significantly expressed by smile of nature. Question number 1 is: give meanings of the bold expressions in the passage in your own words. Annual renovation means yearly renewal. Treasures of the nature is meant as phenomenal beauty, naked deformity, exposed disfigurement. Succeeding season means following period. Warm situation mean pleasant weather. Variegated verdure means colorful freshness. Grateful odors mean welcoming fragrances. Clemency of the weather means pleasantness of climate. Air of gaiety means scene of happiness. Smile of nature means beauty of nature. Next question is, say how an early budding flowers becomes a messenger of happy days. The answer is, after the dullness of the winter, an early budding flowers announces spring. This scenic beauty shows cares away and bring happiness. Fields and woods become colorfully fresh. Fragrances spread everywhere. Melodies can be heard. Almost every shade of nature starts its charm and attractiveness. Question number 3 is, who, according to the writer, can make the best of the spring season? A human being can make the best of spring season. He can feast his eyes on the scenic beauty around. He can enjoy the attractiveness of the multicolored forests and lush green fields. Melodious singing of the birds can also soothe his ears. The beauty of the spring can free him from worries and cares of life. Why are all animals glad at the approach of spring season? In the spring, the animals are glad to have plenty of food which was unavailable during winter. The animals either store food or face hunger as snow covers everything. The spring brings fresh foods for the animals. The mild weather also makes animals happy. They leave their hideouts and graze. Sentence correction is essentially a test of English grammar and usage. So the best preparation for these questions is a review of the different grammar rules and their usage. I strongly advise you to pay attention to elements of the grammar and sentence constructions. There may be 10,000 rules of grammar, but the examiner judges you in the exceptional one. Make a separate notebook in which you need to write beneath it that where was the mistake, what was the rule, and how it works. Many grammatic sentence correction books are available on Google. Get one book and start practicing it. For example, he not only comes there for swimming but also for coaching new swimmers. It is a question asked in CSS 2017 exam. And the correct sentence is, he comes there not only for swimming but also for coaching new swimmers. And the structure rule is, always use or with either, nor with neither, and but also with not only. This is the rule. And this is the rule followed by the same parts of speech. For improving your vocabulary, read as much as possible. Peruse books on a variety of topics and in many different genres. Underline words you do not know. Try to determine the meanings of the words based on the context and then it up in the dictionary. The key to a better vocabulary is regularly practice and progress. Maybe you cannot learn 100 new words a day, but you can learn 1 or 2 a day. Totaling thousands of new words over the years, supposed if you remember 10 words daily, think that after a month there would be 300 new words in your memory, and it would make special difference to the owner. I think English newspapers, just like Dawn newspaper or The Economist are the best sources for it, and keep in mind that you cannot grasp them properly until you use them in your own sentences and work on 3 to 4 synonyms that word. Moreover, the comprehension and precise paragraphs may contain hellish and hard words of vocabulary that may impede you getting what actually is being said. If you manage to crack those words, it would make quite easy for you to write your Precis and answer the questions with good understanding. According to the perusal of English Precis and Composition paper, a good command over vocabulary is a mandatory factor to get through this paper. Vocabulary building is a systematic progress. Rote learning does not promise fruitful results. Many brilliant candidates may memorize hundreds of words but are unable to recall the same during exam. In order to keep the words in active memory, candidates are required to chalk out a comprehensive plan for vocabulary building. Here is an example for you. Precipice means cliff or crag, rock face, brink or scarp. We can make sentence just like the path had sheer rock on one side and a precipice on the other. Wait and think. This word has 5 synonyms. You can use these synonyms instead of using same words again and again. So open your mind like a child and you will learn words faster. Work on this strategy at least for 1 month and then learn how to use right words at right place using any lexicon. I recommend you Oxford Advanced Learner's Dictionary 8th edition for this purpose. Another interesting way to learn vocabulary is through mnemonic methods. Or a file named Baron's Mnemonic can easily be downloaded from Google. Understand the meanings of prepositions. If there are 1000 verbs and you understand 10 prepositions, you will be able to understand 10,000 phrasal verbs. Once the concept of prepositions is clear, have a look at 10 phrasal verbs and comprehend the way a preposition changes the meaning of a verb. Building of the perception is going to help you in paper. Read the sentence and try to make out the sense of the sentence. Try not to translate as it is. Translate in almost the same word. You can divide the given in the following segments like subject, verb, resolve, phrase, resolve, voice, resolve, narration, resolve, context, resolve, conjunction, resolve, idiom, resolve, omission, addition and draft, resolve. For example, we have a sentence in Urdu language. कुछ माहरीन लिसानियात ने उर्दू की इब्तदा का सुराग कदीम आरमाओं के ज़माने में लगाने की कोशिश की है. In this Urdu sentence, we have subject verb resolve is some language experts tried, and the phrase resolve is origin in Urdu and ancient Aryan era. Context resolve is find the traces or find the roots, and hence we have the translation of the sentence is in this way. Some language experts tried to find the traces of Urdu in ancient Aryan era. Idiomatic expression is not translated word for word. For idioms, try to read between the lines. Recommended book is Azhar Idioms or Oxford Idioms for this purpose. Pair of words. Aspirants need conceptual study. Exploring the World of English by Sayyid Saadat Ali Shah and any other book. Try to make out the difference of the words. Explain the meaning of both words first and then make clear sentences. For example, we have veracity and voracity. If we use the both words have different meanings. Veracity, veracity, veracity means truthfulness or truth, and voracity means be economic or extreme appetite. So if we use these words in sentences, then we have a sentence for veracity. A question the veracity of her story. Here veracity means truth or truthfulness, and in the other sentence we use the word of voracity. Just like Arslan was voracity in nature, mean a man of extreme appetite. Next we have grouping of words or synonyms and antonyms. Practice these from G.R.E. Barron's book, preferably 15th edition. You will find a portion there for grouping of words. Plus there are many online sources to practice that from. If we see the past paper, all of the grouping of words questions of especially 2016 and 17 came from a website, Synonyms and Antonyms by Tariq Ali Khan. Get good grammar book, preferably Practical English Grammar by A.J. Thompson and A.V. Martinet. All about competitive English by Professor Muzaffar Bukhari, and Practical English Usage by Michael Swan. Grammar in Use by Raymond Murphy, and clear your basic grammar skills like articles, tenses and punctuations. There are a lot of grammar books on internet. Do check them and choose whatever suits you best. If you manage to read at least 2 to 3 books on English grammar, it would be more than enough and would make you confident in written expressions. Analogy questions are used to test both logic and reasoning skills and word knowledge. These questions ask test takers to identify relationships between pairs of words. In order to solve analogy questions, you must first have a clear understanding of the word's definitions and then use that understanding to determine how the words are related. Analogy questions are often described as, for example, puppy is to dog and kitten is to blank. The answer is of course cat. You might describe the relationship between puppy and dog as a puppy is a young dog to determine the missing word. You might say a kitten is a young. The key to solving an analogy question is to precisely describe the relationship between the pair of words and then apply the same relationship to determine which word completes the analogy. Candidates preparing for this section should take online practice tests on analogy questions. Analogy questions. The relationships that are found in analogy questions fall into several general types. First one is worker and article created. For example, composer to symphony. And worker and tool used. For example, surgeon used scalpel during his operate. Tool and object worked on. For example, saw cuts the wood. Time sequences, for example, sunrise and the sunset. Cause and effect, for example, dawn to twilight. Degree of intensity, for example, joy and ecstasy is the state of more joyous condition or a more pleasure condition. Synonyms, for example, lie to prevaricate. Maybe that words may be antonyms. For example, real and fictional. It may be based on sex, bull and cow. Symbol or representation. For example, dove. Dove is the symbol used for peace. Action and significance. For example, cry is the action because of sorrow. Manners. For example, shamble to walk. Types and category. For example, orange is a member of citrus family. At the end, I have a piece of advice for you aspirants. To be specific for spelling, gathering the words from newspapers and writing them down in your notebook will itself help you to remember these spellings. For those who still find it difficult, writing the spelling 10 to 20 times is suggested. You should avoid using short language while chatting on social media. Your brain is very adaptive. Such short words or misspelled words may cause trouble while taking exams. So always use properly spelled words while you converse. This paper is all about practice. Get your work checked by someone who could point out your mistakes. The point of all of the above exercises is to improving your academic written English. So try to improve your general English standard and you will be good to go. All the best.